Cornelius Vanderbilt, otherwise known as the Commodore, was a robber baron who played a big part in the steamboat and railroad industries.
He was born into a poor family and raised his wealth through smart business planning and taking chances.
As a child, he worked for his father, who was a seaman working at a boat port in New York.
Cornelius was ecstatic about the shipping business and started his own passenger ferry business when he was 16.
Cornelius was a master business person, and through perseverance and hard effort, he became one of the biggest tycoons America would ever see.
Cornelius was born in Port Richmond, Staten Island, New York, on May 27, 1794.
Being a descendant of poor Dutch settlers, his parents farmed and his father carried produce and merchandise from Staten Island to New York in his two-masted sailing vessel, the Perry Auger.
He briefly attended school, but was the usual for the people in those days. He went to work at the age of 11 and was employed by his father.
Cornelius's work inspired him to take chances in the ferrying industry. At age 16, Cornelius convinced his parents to lend him $100 so he could purchase his own sailboat and start his very own ferry and freight business. Eventually, he acquired his own fleet to command and quickly climbed the ranks to becoming America's richest man.
Cornelius Vanderbilt was a self-made multimillionaire who eventually becomes one of the wealthiest men of the 19th century.
Cornelius sold his fleet in 1818 and became a well-renowned steamboat captain with his friend Thomas Gibbons. Together, they operated a ferry service from New York to New Jersey and made a fortune.
In 1829, Cornelius decided to part ways with Thomas and further invested his steamboat service to provide transportation throughout the entire Hudson River. Again, his prices were cheap, so he quickly eliminated his competitors. Cornelius's ability to encapsulate the public's eye was so great that his competitors offered him money so that he would leave all business at the Hudson River.
In 1861, Cornelius lost his favorite son to the war. Then, driving into an alcohol depression because of this, he is forced to rely on his less able son, making him operation director of the Hudson Railroad.
When Cornelius Vanderbilt was 70, he sold his shipping empire. He bought small railroads that sometimes failed and turned them into profitable ventures. The New York Central, one of his railroad lines, turned into the nation's largest business by the 1870s. The railroad system expanded throughout the Northeast into Chicago and the Grand Central Station in Manhattan.
When Cornelius reached old age, he gave his first modest sum of money to the Nashville Central University. He didn't own big mansions, but Cornelius never shared his vast amount of wealth with charitable causes.
In 1886, Cornelius's wife, Sophia Vanderbilt, passed. Shortly after her death, Cornelius went on to marry a distant cousin to him, Francis Armstrong Crawford. The marriage sparked much controversy because Francis was 34 years Cornelius' junior.
During the last few years of his life, Cornelius' son, William H. Vanderbilt, became senior manager of the business. The bulk of his wealth was left in William's name, with more than modest amounts given to his other 9 remaining children. He was in no doubt a robber baron because after the Civil War, he used lawyers to hire gunmen to steal land from settlers and Indians so he could build railroads.
Cornelius Vanderbilt died at the age of 83 on January 4, 1887, at his Manhattan home. He was buried at the Montgomery Cemetery in New York, Staten Island. There was no doubt that through clever business planning and determination, Cornelius left an undeniable mark on many industries in America as we know it today.